And here I am, gracing you with my presence, right? I want to go ahead and just, my last video, it cut me off while I was talking. My own channel censored me, right? That's not a good look. That's not a good look at all, actually. That's a bad look, actually. I want to give a shout out to the Boxing Librarian. I did a hangout with him on Sunday. I'll put the link in the description box, right, so you can check that out whenever any of you have a shot or a chance, right? Look, let's talk about the PBC, right? Let's talk about Premier Boxing Champions, okay? And let's talk about the future of boxing and where I believe it's going to go, right? Now look, I'm not saying I have a crystal ball. I'm not saying that it's going to go exactly this way. This is simply my opinion, right? Like in the words of Dwyer, just a complete stranger online, giving you his opinion, right? That's all it is, right? So don't bet anything on anything I say, okay? I'm just giving you my opinion and my perspective, and it's an educated guess, it's what I'm doing. But first of all, let's talk about the PBC, right? Has the PBC been perfect? Is it above criticism? Is the PBC above all that? Of course it's not, okay? There is room to criticize the PBC. There's room to point out certain fights that you didn't like and all that, or we didn't like, or what have you. But overall, has the PBC been good for boxing? My short answer is yes. Of course it's been good for boxing, right? Without the PBC existing, right, people don't watch Spence on TV. 6 million people don't watch him, Olympics or no Olympics, okay? Nobody catches boxing. It's not just Spence, it's just boxing. People don't catch boxing, At some point, someone needs to invest in the sport. Like, I'm talking real investment. A lot of people are bashing Al Heyman. Oh, Al Heyman, he's terrible for boxing. He does this, he does that, blah, 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 right? He is actually investing in the sport. In fact, he's the first person to actually invest in the sport in a long, long, long time, right? Okay, yes, Al Heyman pays the networks to put on boxing, right? Basically, Al Heyman is paying a tab for you. And you guys are getting mad? You're mad because he's paying the tab? He's basically taking away stars from being on premium television like HBO and Showtime, which you have to pay for. And he's putting them on free television and some on cable TV, which come in most of the, basic packages on cable satellite television, like Spike TV, ESPN. ESPN, by the way, the most popular, cable channel on TV. And he is putting boxing back on his networks for more people can see it and more people could watch it. And he is investing in it. Of course, there's things you can criticize. And just because he's paying a tab, it doesn't mean that there's no room to criticize or just give constructive criticism to see how we can improve it. Because we all want it to succeed. Or I would believe, anyway, let me rephrase that. I would believe that we all want it to succeed. But unfortunately, it seems a lot of you want it to fail. So let me tell you some dumb things, actually, that I've heard people say about the PBC. Right? Oh, Al Heyman, he's fucking shit up. Finally we get boxing on network TV, and he's just fucking it up. Now boxing will never get another chance on network TV, thanks to Al Heyman. Thanks, Heyman. Now, thank you, Heyman. Like, first of all, if it wasn't Al putting it on fucking network TV, who was? Well, you think Bob Arum? You think Bob Arum? Bob Arum wouldn't even give you a good undercard on pay-per-view. You think he should have put fights on network TV for free? You think Bob Arum was going to take money out of his own fucking pocket and his promotion and pay a network to put on boxing? You think he's going to do that? He wouldn't even get money out of his fucking pocket to give you a good undercard on a fucking pay-per-view. Okay? Top Rank has been notorious for having the worst undercards in history. Terrible undercards on pay-per-view. Something you pay for. $49.99 and up. $59.99. $69.99. Golden Boy wasn't that much better. Terrible undercards. Well, what about all the mismatches we saw on HBO and Showtime? What about all the crap fights we got on those premium networks that you had to pay for? Now Al is picking up the tab, and you get to watch it for free. And you're mad? And you're mad about it. Why are you mad about it? He's investing in the sport. If it fails, it's his fucking loss, his investors' loss. There are people investing with Al Heyman to make sure this shit is a success. That's what's going on here. Who else has invested in the sport? Who else? Nobody else, right? There's never been a long-term mentality. A lot of these guys, a lot of these promoters for years, they just lived off of HBO's boxing budget. That's all they did. A budget which was not, it didn't, reflect, what people were actually watching on HBO. Boxing was kind of spoiled for a while on HBO. It didn't deserve all that money, all right? But it got it. And it was all squandered and it was sucked out of it. That's what happened. And now you have a guy who's saying, look, tell you what, I believe in this. I'm going to start this PBC thing. I'm going to get with all these networks. I'm going to get with some investors. And we're going to invest in this. We're going to pay these networks to put on boxing. Because you got to start somewhere. That's called an investment. All right? Investments don't pay off overnight. Is it perfect? Is he having the success of the UFC? Well, no. Because first of all, he doesn't have a monopoly like the UFC. Right? He only has what he has. Okay, that's it. It would be beneficial for him to work with Top Rank, right? It would be beneficial for him to work with Golden Boy, right? I wish we could all just sing Kumbaya, but unfortunately, the sport, this is before Al Heyman even came along, right? The business of boxing, everybody talks about the business. It's been terrible business for years, all right? Just terrible business for years. Right? For years, right now you have Al Heyman and the PBC trying to build something like in Barclays Center, for example, right? To get people to show up to fights. They're really trying to get these fighters in arenas with people in it, right? And what I find funny is when stories come out, and it's not just PBC, okay, but Top Rank or Golden Boy, stories come out, oh my God, they were giving away tickets! They were giving away tickets! Because they didn't want a fucking empty arena live on television, like we saw for years on HBO and Showtime, right? You know, they didn't want to put the fight in a little bingo hall with 100 people in it on World Championship Boxing. Okay. And the reason this has happened, the reason live gates, you know, aside from some fighters don't do that well, is because for years promoters have not actually promoted. Okay, they've just been salesmen selling fights to HBO. HBO would pay them the money was guaranteed, and that's it. All right, some casino would buy the rights to the fight and the venue, and that's it. They didn't have to worry about filling in the seats. They didn't have to worry about promoting. So right now, Al Haymon's trying to build a brand, right? So the closest thing we have to compare this to is the UFC. When the UFC first started, right? When Zuffa bought it, I mean, they couldn't even get on pay-per-view. And as Dana White would say, even porn was on pay-per-view, right? You know, but you know, they grinded, they did some lobbying, right? And, you know, they signed a deal with Spike. And for the first couple of years, the UFC was losing money, right? It wasn't until they struck gold with Tito Ortiz and Ken Shamrock that things started to turn around. And then guys like, you know, once people started paying attention, guys like Couture, Liddell, okay, you know, just names started to pop up. The Ultimate Fighter kind of became a little bit of a hit. They struck gold with that, okay? Bonner and Forrest, you know, and then it went on from there, right? And right now, the PBC is in an investment period, right? And they're working on marketing to get more attention, you know, and you know, like for example, the Olympic thing, that was brilliant marketing, right? And a lot of people ended up tuning into the Errol Spence fight. This is just the way it is, right? He's investing in the, why are you guys mad that he's investing in the sport? If it fails, it's on him. It's not, you don't lose anything. If PBC fails, you lose nothing, right? Nothing. You lose absolutely nothing. No, but it's because it's hurting boxing. Like, really? The PBC is hurting boxing? Are you serious? You think the PBC is hurting boxing? You know, first of all, the whole like, oh, they'll never be able to get it on network TV ever again. Like, first of all, the whole network TV thing, let me just say this. Al Haymon did it at a perfect time, right? Because where we are heading, right? Where we're heading in the future, it's network TV ain't going to be shit, right? Neither is cable TV. So if there was ever a time to strike with the networks, it was now, right? Not in this future that, you know, De La Hoya talked about it for years. Oh yeah, we're gonna get boxing on, you know, we're gonna get boxing on, you know, on network TV. That's a goal of mine. That motherfucker could have put boxing on network TV years ago. Okay, he could have done it years ago, but they didn't. Why? Because they're very simple-minded. Right? Well, you know, HBO about to fight. Let's just put it on pay-per-view. You know, it's just, this is the mindset that boxing has built itself upon. And that mindset is slowly shifting. Right? You know, we're starting to shift away from that. Pay-per-view is dying a brutal death right now. Right? It just is. So is cable and satellite TV. So is network TV. A lot of things are going to change in a coming decade, guys, right? Just think about where we were just 10 years ago. Just 10 years ago, 2006. And look at where we are now, right? Sometimes you have to think about it. You remember when the Razor flip phone was like the high-tech phone, right? And people were impressed because you could like surf the internet on it. Yeah. Now we have smartphones. Look how fast the phone evolved, the cell phone. Look how fast it evolved. We got tablets now. You know, we got, I mean, it's everything is changing dramatically. And pay-per-view is going with it, right? You know, when everything goes out, pay-per-view is going along with it. And it just, this is something I've even in interviews, I've even heard Dana White talk about this, and they've been planning this for years, right? Talking about how we watch TV now is it's going to be ancient history soon, right? The WWE, which wasn't a pay-per-view business, got out of the pay-per-view business already. You know, they have their WWE network that people could subscribe to, right? It's a different model now that they have, right? It's just drastic. It's such a drastic difference, you know. And I think in order for boxing, you know, to remain relevant, it needs to evolve with the times, right? And right now, the current, if you want to call it a model, that this wild, wild west of a sport, it's a chaotic sport with no one league or one government that runs it, okay? This chaotic sport and its model, it needs to change, right? If it doesn't change, yeah, I know, look, I know boxing will never die. I get it, okay? I understand. Okay, I get it, and I understand that's like the motto, right? What do people say? Why hasn't died yet? but guys, it is possible for boxing to evolve into irrelevance. That's possible. Okay, that could happen, right? And unfortunately, boxing's been going down that path, right? It's becoming less and less relevant in our culture, right? If you look at it historically, you know, it's become less relevant in our culture, right? Less influential in our culture, right? I'm not saying it's not influential at all, right? But I'm saying it's been evolving into that, right? Or you know, that's just the unfortunate reality, okay? So we have to change. Okay, we have to understand. A lot of you criticizing the PBC need to understand this, right? HBO for many a year, right, had contributed greatly, okay, into the state that boxing is now. How did it do that? And was it intentional? I think, if you ever heard the term unintended consequences, right? I don't think HBO like sought out to, oh, let's hurt the sport. Like that's I don't think they ever thought of that, but they were always about HBO. You know what I mean? And who could blame them? Of course they are, right? It's their brand. But this is what, just by putting it on premium TV, you narrowed your audience. Just by that alone, right? Because for the longest time, that's changed recently. But for the longest time, what did you need to have HBO? Well, first of all, you needed cable television, right? You know, me growing up, I mean, we were pretty poor. You know, I'm sure a lot of you, if you grew up poor, you'll understand. Like, we would. There are times where, like, we had that month where we had cable, and you get all excited and shit, and then you know we couldn't pay it, and you know we didn't have cable for a while. Right, but so first of all, you need cable, right, or satellite, and then you need to subscribe to HBO. On top of that, right? You know, and that's just the way it is. For the longest time, for a long time, you know, even before definitely before social media, right? It was hard to follow boxing for a lot of people, and boxing is a poor man's sport. You took the poor man's sport and you put it on premium TV, right? It was a form of that was pay-per-view, all right? Because you were paying for premium television, you know. And then of course that, you know, TKO TV or KO TV or whatever, you know, they had HBO pay-per-view. On top of that, you know, it's just. Boxing put itself in a closet, locked itself, and threw away the key, right? So a lot of people stopped actually following the sport. A lot of people weren't following it. If you happen to be in a fortunate situation where you did have HBO and you happen to be watching a, Boxing After Dark or something, you saw a great fight, a lot of people became fans that way. You know what I mean? That's how a lot of you became fans, right? A lot of you watched a fight, you liked what you saw, and you became a fan, right? So I know people are going to say this. I'm a fan of boxing because of HBO. I saw the fucking fight of the year on HBO. Okay, now think about that. What if that same fight you saw on HBO was on CBS, on ABC, on Fox, on ESPN? What if that same fight, how many more fans would have boxing created? So the way it is now, right? The PBC is trying to build a brand, right? And it's very important for me to repeat this. It's not above criticism, right? But the reality is, anything you could criticize it for, HBO did it too, right? Showtime did it too, right? Anything you could criticize it for. But there's a major difference, which I talked about, right? There's a major difference there, right? So I think a lot of you listen to this, like, I'm telling the truth. Like, even if you don't admit it, I'm telling the truth, right? This is where it's heading, right? Like, that's the way it is. So I would like to see PBC succeed on free TV. Of course I want to see it succeed. Of course I do, right? And I will remain, if I see a mismatch on PBC, if I see a fight I don't like, if, I was not entertained that night, of course I'm going to voice my opinion. And of course, I'm going to let them know that I didn't like what I saw, okay? That doesn't go away. As a fan, we're still supposed to do that, right? But I'm going to do the same thing with HBO, Showtime, right? But the reality is, boxing wasn't meant to be on premium TV, guys. It just wasn't. In fact, boxing wasn't even meant to be on pay-per-view. You've been brainwashed over the years to believe that pay-per-view makes a big fight. You've been brainwashed to believe that. All of us, okay? All of us didn't get the joke, right? It's the way it is. Ask yourself, why is the biggest sporting events in the world are not on pay-per-view? Right? The Super Bowl's not on pay-per-view. The World Cup's not on pay-per-view. Right? They're not. NFL games are not on pay-per-view. The NBA Finals is not on pay-per-view. The World Series is not on pay-per-view. Right? La Liga, the championship in Spain, it's not on pay-per-view. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody over there in Europe can clarify that, by the way. Maybe I overspoke with that one, but still. All right? For people in the UK, when Manchester United plays, is it on pay-per-view? Well, if Manchester United was only on pay-per-view, you think they would be as popular as they are around the world? Of course they wouldn't. If the Cowboys, if you could only watch them on pay-per-view, you think the Dallas Cowboys will be as popular as they are? No, they wouldn't. And let me take it a step further. This was something like our sport was hijacked, and this started way back when, right? It was hijacked, right? And for business and for money gain of a few, right? It isolated so many. They started putting fights in closed circuit. And then it was premium TV. And then it was pay-per-view. They hijacked the sport, right? And they hid it away, and now we're seeing the effects of it. Boxing has become less relevant over the years. That's it, folks, right? And now you have someone that's actually investing in the sport. I know I already mentioned him, but Dana White. Dana White said this for years. He said, you know why boxing's falling? You know why it's failing? Because you have a bunch of greedy motherfuckers, okay, lining up their pockets, sucking away from boxing, sucking away from the budget on HBO, and investing zero into the sport. That hurt the sport. So if boxing isn't dying, it's recovering from a fucking beatdown, okay? And it's going through post-traumatic stress disorder right now. All right? Okay, that's what's going on right now with boxing. Our sport was hijacked. Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier was on free TV. All the legends fought on free TV until a couple greedy motherfuckers started to line up their pockets. And don't talk to me about, no, pay-per-view will still be around because there's no way a fighter will make $100 million. Well, why do you guys give a fuck what a fighter makes? So $3 million isn't good? Like, you know, like what? I just don't, like, you guys make $3 million sound like nothing, right? I'm just throwing that number out there, but sure, one fighter will not make hundreds of millions of dollars probably ever again. So what? It will make more millionaires, right? Plural, right? The success of a sport is not 1, 2, 3, 4 fighters, okay? Yeah, Pacquiao, Mayweather, right? You know, they made a lot of money. Canelo's making a lot of money. I want to see a sport where multiple fighters make money, okay? They will make hundreds of millions, but if this guy could make $3 million, if that guy could make $4 million, this other guy could make $2 million, this other guy could make $6 million, right? And more millionaires are made in the process, okay, while boxing is thriving. That is a healthy sport. All right? So with that said, okay, I need to run. I've been, okay, there's the video. Right? Give me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Right? Tell me what you think, guys. All right? Peace out.